Yesterday, in speaking with a friend who is knowledgeable about such things, it was said that today there's an alignment which is causing a great eclipse, and it was also said that Cancer is at play in Leo and several other cosmic momentous occurrences. So let's ride those energetics to take us deeper. Over the years, it's sometimes been said to someone who comes, you have to make God real. Maybe it has even been said to you. But this can only be said when it's recognized that the belief in a God has been dropped. But what does it really mean to make God real? And it reminds first of an old story. And that story is about that widow who was left with 7 children. But her eldest son, called Yakov, was only 10 years old. But Yakov was a very devoted son, to the extent where every day he would go into town and he would help the stall holders who were setting up their stalls. He'd sweep around where there was cleaning to be done. But there was another thing about Yakov, and that was that he had a very, very deep faith. And so every eve of the Sabbath, he would ensure that after his toils, he would have the bottle of wine and the bread which were used to celebrate the oncoming Shekinah, the Sabbath day. But one day when Yakov was in the marketplace helping the stall holders, a messenger came into town, and the messenger was going from stall to stall and shop to shop, seeking the family called Israel bin Israel. Now, as soon as Yakov heard this, he recognized that this, of course, was his family name. So he went to the messenger and said, "This is my family." So the messenger went with Yakov to his house, where the messenger delivered a letter to Yakov's mother, which said that her deceased husband's brother had passed away in a far distant place and had left an inheritance to this family. Now, of course, the mother was very delighted to receive this news, but then in thinking about it, she said, "What can I do? I have 7 children to feed. How can I leave this place and go and claim this inheritance in this far distant place?" And then Yakov came forward and he said, "Mother, I will go." But his mother said, "But you're only 10 years old. How can you make such a hazardous journey?" "No," said Yakov, "I will go. Go to the place where the caravans are prepared to cross the desert and purchase a place for me." So this is what the mother did. But before going to make that payment, Yakov said to his mother, "But please, mother, ensure that you tell the head of the caravan that we must stop on the eve of the Sabbath to enable the proper rituals to take place. So when the mother went to make this payment, she said to the head of the caravan, "Would you please ensure that there is time made for the celebration?" "Oh," said the leader of the caravan, "we can't do that unless you pay me more money, because this will delay our travels." So the mother, in a dilemma, had to sell the last thing that she had, which was her wedding ring, to pay to the leader of the caravan for this to be done. So Yakov set out on this caravan, and it came to the time when it was time to begin the rituals of that celebration. So Yakov approached the head of the caravan to say, "We must stop now to enable these rituals to take place." And the head of the caravan said, "Stop, we can't stop. I didn't make any such bargain. We're moving on." But Yakov was adamant. He said, "Then you must leave me here." And this is exactly what happened. The caravan dropped Yakov where they were, leaving him with the accoutrements of the ritual. And he watched sadly as the caravan went off across the desert. But soon Yakov got busy with the preparations for this sacred ritual. But during that preparation, he happened to look up, and in the distance he saw a cloud of dust approaching. And as he looked, and that cloud grew near, it took the form of a great, fierce lion. And Yakov was shaking in his boots, thinking this was going to be the end of his life. But with shaking hands, he continued the preparations needed for his ritual. And to his very great surprise, when the lion approached, instead of attacking him, it sat down in front of him, quietly, as he continued with the ritual to invite and celebrate the Shekinah, the coming. And as that ritual was completed, Yakov felt a great sense of peace and safeness. And when all the ritual was complete, he was able to lie down and sleep blissfully throughout the night. In the morning, when he awoke, the great lion was still lying there, but in its waking, it indicated to Yakov to climb onto its back. And when he did, the lion bounded across the desert, and in a very short space of time, it had caught up with the caravan, the camels. And of course, the leader of the caravan and those who accompanied him were greatly surprised and afraid when they saw Yakov riding this great beast. They apologized. They were chastened. And the lion, Yakov, and the caravan proceeded to their destination, which was the place where Yakov was to pick up his inheritance. Now the caravan remained at the fringe of the city, but Yakov, riding the lion's back, rode into town to the great surprise and fear of the people there, to the place, the address that had been given, where he was to collect his inheritance. The lion waited outside quietly when Yakov went in and claimed that bounty. And when he came out, again the lion indicated to ride his back, and the lion bounded off. To Yakov's great surprise, before long, they were on the outskirts of his own town. But as they reached those outskirts, the lion indicated that it was time to alight from its back. And when Yakov did, he stood, and the lion turned and loped off into the distance. But Yakov knew that even though the lion appeared to depart, that the lion was forever with him. We know the end of the story. Yakov entered the town, and there was a great reunion with his mother and his siblings, and they were able to live comfortably for the rest of their lives. There is also an anecdote about two samurais. They had retired from the battlefields and the wars that had been their life. They were riding their horses along a path during a time when it was raining. But then the rain ceased, and before them there was a great rainbow. They rode their horses on, and they came to that place where the rainbow came to rest. And at that place they saw an old monk. They alighted from their horses and made their obeisances to the old monk. And they asked him questions about this terrain. But they saw that the old monk was weeping, tears rolling down his face. And the samurais asked the old monk, "Why are you weeping?" And the monk replied, "I am weeping because at last you can see me." What does it mean for you now, having consciously had this karma burned, your conditioning stripped away, even your belief in deities or a god erased, and it said to you, you have to make God real. What does it mean for us? When it said, you have to make God real. What do these stories tell us about this?
Well, to me, it's as though there's a large tapestry, and when I'm in that, I'll say openness to that, I can trust the expression of that comes through me and through life in the universe.
There's something about this place, isn't there? There's something about this place where we find ourselves so intensely in the present, so intensely sharp and alert. What does it mean, this story? The end of the rainbow, the weeping monk. I'm weeping because at last you can see me. Isn't this
the illusion has disappeared and we see
Isn't it?
the greater workings. That's what I mean by the tapestry. We see the tapestry of it all. In not wanting to put that word God on it and the construct of that, but
No.
there's this greater tapestry that's playing out, and not that I'm saying anything's predestined or anything like that, but if we become part of the weave, and I don't know, the pattern comes out. I can't start to explain.
But we know it. There's no question about it, isn't it?
It's like the fear in the ritual being the focus of the present. There was just no fear entering his mind, had to be done, and then he was taken care of, remaining, and not committed out of, I have to do this. It was a knowing that this...
What is it about this faith and this ritual that we can translate into the experience we're having now? This intense presence.
I'm that
That's our ritual, isn't it?
It's,
To remain so intensely present, that's our ritual, isn't it?
It's uncompromising.
Yes.
Can't, yeah.
And we hold a space within that, an emptiness.
Absolutely.
We have an absolute emptiness
Absolutely so.
within that.
Absolutely so, isn't it?
I had someone the other day, we were all being up singing, and the band that was playing was letting everyone get up and sing. It was just beautiful. And I said to Lisa, it's so nice having you today because you just allow everyone to have a turn. And there's a fella there who is a born-again Christian, and he's lovely. But he, at the end, was saying, this girl, she's a kind of spiritual, but we're getting her into the Jesus church side of things. And I was looking at her and I said, she was gorgeous, she was singing off her phone. And I said, you're just doing perfectly. I said, you even sing off your phone. She already had something, but he's going, oh, we're going to turn her into this thing. And he's going, but she's still a little bit on the spiritual hocus pocus side of things. And I said, oh, you're one of those Jesus people. I said, I've been to your church, and I said, it's great, it's wonderful how you all celebrate God. And I said, I've just been to Myanmar and the temples, and we all have our own way of, you've got your way, I've got my way. And I said, we've all got our own way. And he went, bullshit.